Welcome to the StrictlyFreeGame podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Waller, also known as Shawn, your realtor. Whatever you want to call me, just make sure you call me. But I am here today. Before we even get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, support the channel, help us grow. I am here with Miss Brigitte. I don't want to butcher your last name. How do you say your last
Malik.
name? Malik.
Yeah.
Of the Inspection Boys. Brigitte, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brigitte Malik. I carry a lot of titles, so I don't even know which one. Owner, VP, COO. It depends which business you're talking about. Here I am. So.
Dope. Let's talk about the Inspection Boys.
All right.
Because it's the Inspection Boys, but you're the CEO of the Inspection Boys. Inspectors don't usually look like you.
No. No.
It's a male-dominant business.
Very.
How did you get into the business?
So I used to be in a very similar business. Back in the day before I even joined the industry, I used to work in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. So I used to go to work every single day. I used to take the train 2 hours each way. I used to do medical billing out of all things.
Okay.
Prior to that, before I even moved to New York, my family was always entrepreneurs. So my parents built high luxury custom houses in South Florida. So I always thought that the grand scheme of things, I would just be taking on the family legacy, building custom houses in South Florida. My parents also had a very successful automotive business too. Mm-hmm. So I thought some way I'd be trained doing that. I already knew how to do it. My dad trained me since I was a kid. Yeah. But then 2008 hit, and because my family's money was all invested into real estate, we pretty much lost everything overnight. Mm-hmm. So that kind of changed the trajectory of what am I going to do? Fast forward, I married my husband and moved to New York, all this other stuff, had to find a job, and that's how Manhattan started. My husband got a job working at the Long Island Railroad. It was kind of like that moment where it was like, holy crap, this is life-changing, like something life-changing is happening right now. And he worked there maybe about 5 months, and I went to him and I said, listen, you're making what we were making together before you got this job, and we're okay. I want to quit my job and start a business. And he was like, all right, do it. You know, so I know, it was like, you know, it was nerve-wracking. And so I started initially in the industry, I started doing mortgage foreclosures. Because of 2008, there was a lot of mortgage foreclosure inspections still. So I started doing that, and then I kind of saw an opportunity with insurance inspections. So started doing insurance inspections. So for anybody who knows, if you own a house, you have to have homeowners insurance. There's an inspection that happens. Whether or not you're at the house, you may not even know, because sometimes they come inside, sometimes it's outside only. Yeah. So I started with that, started getting really busy, and started growing the business, hiring people, doing all that. Had my daughter, and I remember about a month after I had my daughter, I told my husband, I was like, I don't know, there's a moment in time when kids come into the picture, everything changes. You know, I already had a business, but my whole perspective changed, because now it's not just about me and my husband. Now I have a legacy. And so I was like, I told my husband, I was like, we need more. Like, you have your job, that's stable, our insurance, everything's through there. It's up to me to get us to that next level. So I told my husband, again, I'm with a newborn, and I said, I'm going to get my license as a licensed home inspector. So I started that journey, going to school. My instructor wanted to kill me because I was definitely that student that was asking a million questions, and I needed to understand every single aspect, and I would call them out on the stuff that didn't make sense. And, you know, I remember, because I'm still friends with the instructor to this day. Like, he's done a lot of stuff with us since then. And during school, Matthew Rivera, which you know Matt, the first day that he was teaching class, as his first day as an instructor, was one of my last nights in school. And that's how me and Matt met, was during home inspection school. This was before Inspection Boys. Inspection Boys wasn't even, you know, around at the time. And so from there, you know, Matt and I kept talking, and we kept, like, I already had a business. He was still starting his business, and we just kind of collaborated. And next thing you know, Inspection Boys is just kind of born. And we just keep grinding it, growing it. And I mean, now I say humbly, if you ask Matt, He'll say something different. He'll say we are number one. I say we are one of the top home inspection companies in Long Island because we do over 2,000 inspections a year.
That's amazing.
It did not happen like that initially.
So you talk about legacy, which I love. I love that line, right? Because everyone's talking about legacy. And what I love about what you're doing with the Franchise Boys is you're creating it as a franchise now.
Yeah.
So now you're giving other people the opportunity to create their own legacies as well.
Yes.
What got you into the franchise model?
So funny thing is Inspection Boys, the name was already out there. But it was actually with somebody else that wasn't using the franchise concept at all with it. But it was an amazing name. So I remember hearing about this, and immediately I just fell in love with the name. I was just like, Inspection Boys. Because my thing is, going into this industry, I knew I was going to get pushback as a woman. I knew a lot about houses already because I grew up around houses. Like, my family built houses. Like, I would see them from nothing to all of a sudden this extravagant mansion. And it was amazing. I loved the housing. I just loved houses. And so I loved the name because I knew people were going to say stuff. I knew it would be like, well, Inspection Boys, but you're a woman. I'm like, yeah, damn right, I'm a woman, you know? And so I loved the name right away. I don't know. I loved it. And this guy, he already had like such a successful franchise. He just had no time to build this franchise. So he had a few different concepts, a few different brands. So me and Matt took it and we just started making it our own, developing the concepts, developing the systems, because anybody who knows franchising, you're buying a business in a box, right? And you're buying the systems, you're buying the marketing, you're buying all this stuff. So it was up to me and Matt to develop all this and put this together so that we can make it sellable to people. We made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. If anybody says franchising is easy, they are lying.
I can imagine.
And so we just started growing it. And I'm happy to say right now we have 32 locations, and it's been,
That's dope.
It's been a lot, but our vision is to get to 600 locations and and be in every single state. So
that's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
One of the issues that most entrepreneurs have when they first start a business is learning how to actually structure a business, because no one teaches you that.
Yeah.
Now with the franchise model, like you said, you're basically buying a business in a box.
Right.
Now, if someone's coming to the Inspection Boys and trying to buy into a franchise, what are the steps that they're taking to get to that?
So franchising is very complicated because every single state has I don't want to say all states, but most states all have very strict franchising laws. So the state of New York was actually, for many years, we couldn't even sell in New York.
Really?
We couldn't even sell. The 1 year that we did get approved, we sold a bunch of locations in New York. Pretty much Long Island sold out. Like, there is no territories anybody can buy in Long Island because it's done.
That's all done?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. We have Queens and Brooklyn, but for many years we couldn't sell anything because we kept having pushback with the state of New York to get approved as franchising. So you can't sell unless you get that approval. Franchising itself is very expensive too. So, I mean, imagine as a real estate agent, you guys have to pay different ways of generating leads, right? Same deal with franchising, except the leads are so expensive.
Really?
So we started focusing on different areas. Then a few years ago, like I said, we spent a lot of money and made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. But we were still able to sell like 8 locations on our own without anybody really helping us. Like, we were literally just researching franchising and trying to put all this together and try to make people as successful as possible of who we had, right? Then one day Matt tells me, hey, we're going to be possibly meeting with this really experienced guy in the industry. And I'm like, okay, well, who's this guy? And he's like, well, Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Tax, they have like thousands upon thousands of locations across the country. I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, the guy who started those brands I'm talking to, and it's a possibility that he wants to meet.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, listen, like, don't get my hopes up. Tell me when it's actually something to talk about. And then I'll do whatever we got to do. And because I'm the type of person, like, I want to have realistic expectations too. So some time goes by and Matt goes, hey, whatever you're doing at such and such date, cancel everything.
Okay.
We're going to New Jersey. I'm like, okay, who are we going to New Jersey for? It's like, we're going to meet John Hewitt. So John Hewitt, for those who don't know John Hewitt, he is pretty much like a tax god in the tax industry.
Yep.
Very intelligent guy. And so we drive to New Jersey and we meet him. And he was very down to earth, very knowledgeable. And his goal was, he had already grown so many different tax businesses already. He had sold everything with Liberty Tax and Jackson Hewitt. And he was now buying smaller brands or trying to partner with smaller brands and trying to build those legacies now too. So John, if you meet him, he is a guy, if you're not a millionaire, he wants to make you a millionaire.
That's the people you want to be around.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's how he is. So I go there and I have like a list of questions. Like I'm like,
You say you were that student in class anyway.
Yeah. So I'm like, I have everything written down, and Matt's like going in there, and Matt's question is like, what's your favorite book? And my question is like, well, what are you gonna do for us? What are we like, totally different things. And so we talked and ended up being a life-changing conversation. And so since then, we actually sold part of our franchise to Loyalty Brands, which is the new company that John Hewitt has. And since then, they've been mentoring us. So there are other business partners.
Nice.
And it's kind of crazy. Like if I go into my phone, I have John Hewitt's cell phone.
That's a big flex.
Yeah.
That's a big flex.
I never text him because I'm scared to death. Whenever I get a text from him, I'm like, okay, John, no problem. Like I'll do it, But like his whole like, and like, oh, and another thing is like his surrounding, the people who he surrounds himself, he like introduces us to all these people. And, like recently he was in South Florida and he goes, hey, I'm going to Florida. We have an inspection boys down there too. And he's like, I want to meet your mom and your family. And
your mom and family?
My mom and my family. I'm like, now I'm nervous. Like, oh gosh, what did I do? Like, why does he want to meet my family? So he goes there and he meets my mom and they have this great dinner. And he was just getting to know our story. And I was like, Mom, like, did he say bad stuff about me? Like, and she's like, no, like, he loves you. Like, he was just, and so it's kind of cool. Like, all these people that helped him grow, Liberty Tax, Jackson Hewitt, are now in my sphere. And they're all helping us grow Inspection Boys to levels that.
Collaboration over competition.
Like, I couldn't even understand or imagine that any of this would be happening. We still have our individual locations here on the island, but like the franchise, it's not an overnight thing. It's a lot of hard work. Matt and I, we have to travel a lot for the franchise.
Of course, I can imagine.
We're always learning, training. We have so many phone calls every single week of just like with leads and all these people that, want to talk to us. And there's so much paperwork, man.
No, I
like
can imagine,
it's But
what is the I'm sorry to cut you
no,
off.
you're good.
Well, what are the criteria for someone else that's looking to come and buy a franchise?
So that's a loaded question because I'll explain that to you. Because obviously somebody has to come in with the financial aptitude, right? They can't come in with like $5.
Yeah.
They have
skin in the game,
right?
basically.
They have to have skin in the game because you are literally buying a business. Now us as inspection boys, right? We will guide you. We will train you. We bring you to New York and we train you. We put you on real jobs with our inspectors and they are showing you how to do everything and how to implement everything, right? But at the end of the day, you're buying this, right? You're probably doing an investment anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
So you need to come with also knowing that when you go home, you have to take this now and you have to start making it yours and implementing it and doing everything that we tell you to do. If you're following all these rules, not rules, I don't want to say rules, but guidelines and systems, your business is going to naturally start to grow and you're going to start to change your stars, so to speak.
Yeah.
One big thing that we do when we're talking to really serious candidates is we send them a document and it's just like, it kind of helps us see what their goals are. Like we say, okay, look, what are your debts, right? What is your 5-year, 10-year goal? Do you want to get rid of these debts? What type of income do you want to make? What do you want for your family, right? And the reason why, if somebody comes and tells us, you know, I want to make, you know, $20,000 in 5 years, well, that person may not be the really person that we really want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that's not helping the franchise grow. Yeah.
Right, because it's not, you're not growing, you're not even changing your stars with $20,000. Like, if you think about it, like if you had to survive on $20,000 a year, could you?
You wouldn't survive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So depending on what they say, then if somebody comes to us and be like, hey, in 10 years, I want to be making XYZ amount of money, then we'll be like, all right, let's make your business plan according to this and put the marketing and systems in place to get you to this goal.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a process. It's not an overnight process.
That was kind of loaded.
Yeah. And there's also license law. You got to think about. Of course.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too. Yeah. Because you guys are basically in New York, but every state has their own requirements, their own licensing and all that. So do you leave that up to the franchisees, or is that something that comes with the
every
package?
single, so we have another business that's called Main Street Success, right? And in the long stream, or the long-term goal for that is for that to have the real estate school and home inspection school approved in every single state. And the reason why is we can control the education our franchisees are getting, and we can make sure that they are getting everything that they need, that when they leave school, they're ready. Yeah. Because in other states, we're counting on these other schools to really train them with what they need, but a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
One of the biggest franchises that we know of is McDonald's, right? Yeah. And McDonald's usually they're very hands-on when it comes to their franchisees in the locations that those franchises are located. Do you guys follow a model similar to that?
So what's great about Inspection Boys versus McDonald's, I love the McDonald's concept.
Me too.
Absolutely love it, because they are one of the biggest real estate companies in the world.
A lot of people don't know that.
No.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely incredible, that model. And if you haven't watched the movie, I probably watch it a million times, and I always get something new from it. Same. And but what's great about Inspection Boys, like McDonald's, you need a brick and mortar. Inspection Boys, it was ran off of my dining room table for a very long time. Like, from my dining room table, I was running it. I have inspectors come get supplies, marketing material, whatever it is. I had a whole basement corner that my husband said, okay, you could take this. Don't touch anything else in my basement, just this area, right? Yeah. And I would just be on my computer working on the laptop, getting stuff done, how to go do, sweat, blood, and tears, right? I had to do inspections, how to do all this stuff. You can stay with that concept. You can grow a really big company remotely because besides doing inspections, what do you really need, right? As we've grown as a business ourselves, our goals have changed. Like, when I get to work from home, like I had surgery about a month ago, when I loved working at home for the period of time because I never get to work at home now, right? Yeah. Now we have an office, we have a lot bigger space. You don't have to do that. Just our goals of what we wanted just changed, right? Like we brought in education, we brought all this other stuff in. So we needed a space. Our office grew. Like, one of my guys that's still with me, he used to come to my basement and work in my basement on the days that he had to work in the office, right? He'd come pick up stuff. I had a computer, I had a station for him. And that's what we did for many years. Now we have a whole office team, and our office has grown tremendously. So it's just changed.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love listening to the women entrepreneurs. Y'all are no joke, man. Women entrepreneurs are so resilient. Like, y'all are no joke. Let's get back to the inspection part, because you said you was doing inspections. I'm always curious about this. Did you get a lot of pushback when you would show up to the house and do inspections?
Oh yeah. So
I'm only saying that because now I'm thinking of women franchisees that are trying to come into the business now too. They shouldn't be so deterred from doing it that they could follow your model.
So 2 of our franchisees are women.
Okay.
Actually, 3 of them. 3 of them are women. They are incredible. Absolutely love them. And they said one of the things that sold them to our brand was me.
I'm sure.
Which I'm not used to, like, hearing stuff like that, But they are absolutely incredible. I talk to them all the time. As a home inspector, when I would show up to a job, right, there was definitely jobs I didn't book because I was a woman. Definitely, without a doubt. Yeah. When I would show up to jobs sometimes, the biggest people I would get pushback, father-in-laws and the contractors. Those were the people I always got pushback from. And the minute the contractors would start to talk, and they're totally wrong about something, they hear me talk and I start not putting them in their place, but like casually, like, no, this is what this is, you know, and I'm start explaining it. Then all of a sudden they kind of back up, and then they're like, oh wait, she knows what she's talking about. And then then how they're speaking to me kind of changes, right? I mean, when we do inspections, I'm not there to argue with people. I'm not there to like do any of that, but like sometimes the contractors, they really just, I don't know, they try to make people look stupid.
Of course, yeah.
And so when I would be like, no, like this is not what that is. This is what this is. And then they're like, oh
shit, yeah, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. So definitely it's a big thing. Even now, you know, I'm not doing as many inspections now, not because I don't want to, I just don't have the time, right? I'm a firm believer that at some point the business changes where you're not the one that's working in the business, you're actually working on the business.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm kind of to that point where I'm putting all these people in place. And at the end of the day, if I start taking home inspections for myself, that's less home inspections for my guys. So I need to feed them first before I feed myself.
Love that. I
So,
love that.
Yeah.
It says a lot about your character. I don't want to keep you too long. I feel like I could talk to you forever. I feel like I could listen to you talk forever. Before we go, so give me 3 pros that someone should consider when they're thinking about buying into a franchise.
Okay, so support.
As many as you want. Even if you have more than 3, you can give me more than 3.
Support, super important, right? What level of support are you getting from the franchisors, right? What are the franchisors' experience too? Because who the franchisors is really going to determine what the long-term goals are for the franchise, right? What type of systems do they have in place? So when you're talking to a franchise, they're not going to tell you what marketing they have in place. They're not going to tell you their systems, because at that point, they're giving away the franchise. They're telling you everything to do. They're not going to do that, but you can definitely ask them technology-wise. There are a ton, and I mean a ton, of companies out there that still don't even do reports electronically. Really? A lot.
They're doing it by hand still?
Do it by hand, or it could be like a check mark list, right?
I haven't seen that in fact.
Yeah, it happens because we get these inspections on our desk of like, hey, I paid for this report. It's only 5 pages long.
No photos, no nothing.
No nothing, no photos, nothing. So what type of technology is the franchise providing you, right? Because the technology is so critical. We're in this era of like AI is coming into place, all this other stuff. Technology is really going to make or break it for your business. And if you don't have tech involved, it's really going to, it's going to harm, first off, the morale within your company. Because inspectors, the thing is when you become a business owner, when you're first doing it out yourself, you're okay with putting whatever time and energy you need to do. I remember I would be working till like 2 o'clock in the morning, doing 3, 4 jobs, whatever it is, just getting the reports out. I didn't care, right? But that's you. When you start hiring people, they don't want that life.
They're not going to have the same hustle.
No, they don't want to do that. So the tech is super important in growing and scaling your company. Marketing, right? They're not going to tell you all the types of marketing that they're doing, but you can definitely ask them, you know, is there actually changing marketing strategies, right? For example, when the pandemic hit, all the marketing that we were doing before that had to stop. It was not working anymore.
Before the pandemic?
Right when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
If we think about it, in our Long Island market, everything stopped for that first month, pretty much.
Everybody was shut down. Right?
In person was not working. I couldn't do marketing in person because there was nothing in person to do. And a lot of franchises had a big disadvantage because they didn't know how to change their marketing strategies. They were so hung up on these specific strategies that they didn't know what to do. So you have to have a company that actually prides themselves in marketing strategies that are very well diverse. Right? So when the pandemic hit, you know, that first month, you know, everything came to a standstill because agents didn't know what to do either. But after that, our marketing strategies changed completely. We had to go into complete 360. I remember talking to Matt, and I'm like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, 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 this. And Matt's like, go for it. And that's what we did.
Yeah, he was ready to innovate,
2020 and 2021 were our highest years that we have ever done.
Nice.
Ever. And, and even 2022, it was not a bad year for us. 2023, I'm a firm believer, especially in the real estate market that we're in now, everybody's affected. But if you compare, if somebody's affected, like there's some home inspection companies in the country that are down 40%, 50%.
I was gonna say, I think I read a report that said 50, yeah.
Yeah. For us as a company, we're only down 15% right now.
That's amazing.
Compared to what the national average is, right? That's because of the marketing strategies that we have in place. So I think that's really important too when you're buying a franchise. What marketing strategies, are they old school marketing or are they actually innovative and changing?
There you go. So marketing, support. And what was the third one? Marketing, support, and...
Oh shoot, now I can't remember.
We'll bring it back. But just make sure you pay attention to that, because those are all three great tips. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Bridget, that's dope. You gave me a lot of information I wasn't even expecting today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Before we leave, so Bridget is actually a sponsor for Marilyn's event. Marilyn's in the building. That's who you hear clapping. She's loving it right now. The We Two Brunch is dedicated to just bringing everyone together, right? Women's empowerment. The guys are invited as well.
Love
but
it.
Women empowerment. Bridget is one of our sponsors. You're literally the first person I thought of when we started.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm like, who's out here? Bridget, gotta get her.
Thank you.
So thank you for being one of the sponsors. We can't wait to have you there. Let them know how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, so my email is Nassau, NASSAU, @theinspectionboys.com. You can also find me on Instagram. My personal username is BAM_0622. So feel free to friend request me, whatever. I am pretty much an open book. I will tell anybody anything. My biggest goal in life, even with the franchise, I just want to see people succeed.
Nice, love it.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
Before I leave it, so I always ask this one question before my podcast ends. I'm a music guy, right? 80s baby, hip hop raised me, all that good stuff. If there was one era in your life, right? If you could package an artist, a song, an album that you could go backtrack and you're like, this defines Bridget. This is what made me the person I am. It got to be one artist, one song, something that you hear it and that takes you back to a certain part of life.
It's so stupid. So not that question.
No.
There's a song I'm thinking about that comes to my head. It's so stupid. All right. So first off, before I even say the song, I am the most diverse person when it comes to music.
Okay.
All right. I am Hispanic. I can listen to salsa all day. I can listen to bachata all day.
There we go.
All that, right? But my husband's heavy into heavy metal. I was just listening to heavy metal on the way here.
Were you?
Right?
Okay.
I can listen to classical music. I can listen to all that. So I'm very bad at that because I like everything. But the one song that I have very fond memories of, that every time I listen to it just brings me back to this place of, damn, that was a good time.
Okay.
You know? You're going to laugh. Gangster's Paradise by Coolio.
Gangster's Paradise by Coolio.
Yes.
That's a classic record.
Yeah.
Though. That's a good.
It was when I found that song, I don't know. It was just, I was in high school. I mean, it was already around for a long time, but I was in high school and it was just something that every time I hear that, I'm just like, no, you can't skip that. Like,
it takes you right back to that.
Yeah.
There we go. Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. I love it. That's dope. I wasn't expecting that one.
No, I know.
But I love
That's
that.
what I said. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming to the podcast. This was so informative. If anyone's looking to purchase and go into a franchise, go to Bridget because the Inspection Boys are it.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you for coming. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's a wrap. I love it. Thank you.